Good morning! Today is day 2 and our first full day in St. Lucia. Today we're going on our first of 3 excursions and it's called the Rainforest Tramp Adventure, which is basically an aerial tram and then some ziplining. It's going to take about 5 hours, it's 8 o'clock now, so we'll end around 1:30-ish. And then we're going to do some swimming likely. And then for dinner, we're going to the resident Italian place, which is called Papa Don's. And I love Italian food, so I'm always looking forward to that. And that's all I know about what we're doing today, so I will get back to you when we head out for the excursion. I'm going backwards. Okay, now I'm going sideways. Okay, I'm facing the right way this time. back at the resort now, and we're gonna go eat lunch at Embers. I'm so hungry. Alright, so after lunch we got back to the room and we chilled for a little bit, and now I've gotten changed into my swimming trunks and we're gonna head up to Uncle Joel and Auntie Kelly's room so that we can use their fun pool for the rest of the day until dinner time. And so I brought my backpack as well because I plan to use their shower because they have so much space for 2 people. And yeah, that's all we're gonna do besides, you know, Papa Don's, but we'll get to there when we get there. Okay, we chilled in the pool for like 2 hours and now I'm back inside waiting for Jake to finish showering. He's in that room. And then I'll shower and then we're gonna head to dinner after, so yeah. Alright, I finished showering and now we're just waiting to get picked up by the shuttle to take us to Papa Don's. So I'm in my resort chic outfit, which is honestly just casual, but it will do. For our first lunch at Windjammer, we had the absolute displeasure of going to Embers, their casual breakfast and lunch only restaurant. And let me just say, one meal there was enough to convince us to never go back for the rest of the week. Yeah, it was that bad. Oh, but you're just judging it based on the service. Well, not exactly. Yes, the service was horrendous, and I wouldn't wish that experience upon my worst enemy. But what if I told you that the food was somehow worse? For my meal, I ordered the jerk chicken burrito. It was a pretty standard burrito with typical burrito ingredients: chicken,
rice, onion, yogurt dressing, flour tortilla, and served with fries. Cucumber was in it too, a bit of an odd inclusion, but it's probably the least egregious thing about this dish. Also, you might have noticed that there are no tomatoes in this burrito, and that's because I ordered it without them, as I'm notoriously raw tomato phobic, unless it's salsa. I love salsa. Okay, I'm getting a bit sidetracked. What can I say about the burrito? A lot, actually. Let's start with the positives. Okay, moving on. The burrito had absolutely nothing going for it. The chicken was dry, and there were only about 5 small strips. The rice was overcooked, so it congealed together into a massive mush. The fries were extremely limp and soggy, not to mention undersalted. And I know this is a food review, not a service review, but how do you manage to serve the appetizers after the entrees? That's literally food service 101. But I digress. To no one's surprise, I'm condemning this meal to a well-deserved 1 out of 5 stars. Jake, get over here. You gotta do your part.
What part?
For lunch.
No! That was such a waste of time! Okay, the lunch was bad, okay? I don't want to do it.
Dude, I did it, so you gotta do it. Get over here. Record it right now.
Ugh, fine.
Lunch at Embers was not it. Searching for a dish to choose on that menu was quite difficult. Not because there were so many good options to choose from, but because there were no good options to choose from. And you already heard Jonah's complaints about the restaurant, so I won't get into that as well. But anyways, I ended up choosing the trio sliders. As you would expect from the name, I got 3 sliders, 1 jerk chicken, 1 beef brisket, and 1 pulled pork slider. And nothing else. No sides, no nothing. Just 3 tiny, minuscule sliders. Without a side, you would at least expect the sliders to be as big as a pain de sal slider, but no, I was able to eat them in basically 1 bite. In any case, in terms of how it tasted, let's just say it was like the Goldilocks story. The jerk chicken was dry and basically flavorless. There was no sauce to even try to help it besides a purple slaw, which still didn't help. And also, why is there slaw with jerk chicken anyways? It doesn't make any sense. Anyways, the beef brisket slider, on the other hand, was too salty, slightly dry, but at least it was tender. Unfortunately though, this slider was drowned in sauce, and by sauce I mean just a very thick gravy. Finally, the pulled pork sandwich was just right. And by just right, I mean just the least evil. The sauce to meat ratio was just right, the slaw actually worked with the pulled pork, the pork was soft and tender, but that's just comparing it to the other two. Overall, the pulled pork sandwich was just too basic to really stand out. So for this dish, I have to give this a 1 out of 5 stars, placing it 19th place. Ugh, I still feel disgusted when I even think about this dish.
As I mentioned earlier, Papa Don's is the Italian restaurant at Windjammer, and we went there for our second dinner. Having eaten pretty mediocre food up to that point, and just coming off of the infamous Embers lunch, my expectations were at rock bottom. Thankfully, I was pleasantly surprised as we were served some really high quality meals across the board. I ordered the Tuscan chicken linguine, a bowl of linguine in a sun-dried tomato and Parmesan cream sauce topped with sliced grilled chicken breast. After taking my first bite, I knew that this was a really good pasta dish. The flavor of the cream sauce was addictive and tasted similar to a rosé with both cream and tomato elements. The pasta was cooked perfectly, soft with a bit of a chew to it. The only thing I didn't love about this dish was the chicken, as I found it to be on the dry side. The sauce definitely compensated for that fact, but I would have liked it a bit juicier. Overall, I was very satisfied with this dish, so I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars.
Papa Don's. I'm so glad I had this dish. It made up for that horrid lunch. Yuck. For dinner, I ordered the pan-fried sea bass. Against the other items on the menu, this would not be my first choice, but since we weren't doing all-inclusive yet, I ended up going for the sea bass, since it was one of the cheaper options. But boy, I was glad I chose this dish. The fish was light and flaky, and I could taste its flavor. which is pretty rare with whitefish. Usually, cooks put a ton of seasonings on the fish, which ends up hiding its natural flavor. The skin wasn't as crispy as I like, but it wasn't soggy or mushy at all. However, I did like how they gave one whole fillet instead of just a portion of it. As for the vegetables, normally I don't like cooked carrots because I don't like how it tastes and how mushy it gets when cooked, but since I didn't want to waste food, I ate them this time. And I was pleasantly surprised at how good it was. It was cooked, but it was still firm and seasoned well. I like zucchini, so I was glad it was good, texture and flavor-wise. Lastly, it was also garnished by 2 roasted vine cherry tomatoes and a hollandaise sauce. Similar to Jonah, I'm not really a fan of tomatoes, but they've been growing on me. The tomatoes give the dish a nice acidity to keep the dish light, which really contrasted well with the hollandaise sauce. Thankfully, the hollandaise sauce wasn't too overwhelming and was quite light for hollandaise sauce. The only reason this dish doesn't get a 5 stars from me is that it unfortunately wasn't very filling. I think by adding a carb of any kind to the dish, it would be a full 5 stars. So I give this a 4 out of 5 stars, but second place on the ranking list. Notice how the second worst dish and the second best dish happened on the same day.
For my dessert, I had the lemon tart served with raspberry sorbet. Just going off of the presentation alone, I was super excited to dig into it, but after taking my first bite, all of that excitement quickly dissipated. It was cold, not warm or even a oops I let it rest for too long room temperature, but a we store trays of these in the fridge kind of cold. I already went on a rant about day one's cold brownie, so I won't go over it again, but basically I find that pairing a cold baked good with a cold sorbet or ice cream generally doesn't work. Now, the flavor itself was pretty decent. The sweetness was on point, and it definitely tasted citrusy, though a bit muted. But what I can't wrap my head around is why the tart's filling was green! I'm pretty sure I ordered a lemon tart, not a lime one. Okay, hold up. Jake just told me that St. Lucia doesn't actually have lemons, so they use lime as a substitute. And that's fine and all, but like, why would you advertise it as a lemon tart if you only have limes? Like, just call it a lime tart. Is that so hard? Oh my god. As for the texture, it was pretty standard for a tart, but by nature of it being served cold, my favorite part, the crust, was neither soft nor flaky. A big disappointment in my book. Funnily enough though, I really like the raspberry sorbet, and I consider it to be the best part of the dish, despite it not being the main component. And for that reason alone, I've decided to show mercy and give the lemon tart 3 out of 5 stars.
After they finally won one round of the crew, it is finally time to go home to sleep.